Pardon me. So today we're going to talk about how to go different ways, different techniques, protocols, methods, roadmaps, menus, how to go deeper into your consciousness. So when we say deeper, we're talking about taking the awareness, which is movable. The consciousness is all over the place. So it's like the way I sometimes say there's consciousness that's actually digesting your food. There's consciousness that is operating when you walk across the room, when you keep your balance, all kinds of things. We could go on and on about all the different ways that consciousness works. But awareness is kind of that little spotlight part of your consciousness. And even that doesn't belong to anybody. But that's for you to discover. So the way I'd like to start this, I have a lot of things to say about it. At least it feels like there's some things coming up. One is, if you want to go deeper into anything, don't take a position. Don't take a position on it. And if you know where you want to go, then of course get a roadmap and go there. That would be fine, or follow a recipe or whatever to the letter. But if you want to see what is really true, don't believe and don't disbelieve. Don't look at anything that's in front of you or behind you or wherever it's at and say, well, I believe that. And also, the opposite way is I disbelieve that. I just read a quote on that. I'm not going to be able to pull it up. I have a Lao Tzu quote that I like. It says, "Who shall make the muddy water clear? Let it be still, and it will be clear." That was in the 6th century BC in ancient China. So, duh. Don't meddle with it. Don't mess with it. Don't add your 2 cents worth to anything. Just hold still. It will clear of its own, of itself. It will clear of itself. Anytime you put any belief or opinion or idea, any positionality onto it, you might as well be reaching into a pond that you're trying to see the bottom of and going like this. Don't do it. It's very tempting because at least they were, what do we get out of it? What's the payoff? Well, I'm doing something. At least I'm doing something. Doesn't work. Now, what do I mean by work? Or it doesn't work. But when it works, it means you're you don't have to believe it. It's true. It's true. But if you have a doubt about it, just let the doubt be there. That doubt is a good companion for you on the path. And so, like when I gave the meditation instruction this morning, I think I said something like, "Don't believe your thoughts." Seems like I did. Did I say that? And the idea is not to believe them or disbelieve them. Don't do anything with them. Thoughts arise, just observe. Thoughts go away, just observe. What you're doing is you're actually training your crazy, push and pull, aggressive, passionate, ignorant mind to hold still and clarify itself, just like Lao Tzu was saying many, many centuries ago. And the quote, I might be able to bring up enough of it to make sense out of it, but C.S. Lewis says in this very famous work of his called The Screw Tape Letters, in the preface to that, he says, I'm going to have to paraphrase, says something like, when you believe something, that's a materialistic approach. You believe it. And when you disbelieve it, then that's like taking it the other direction, or rather the other way around. See, I'm transcendentally dyslexic. So when you disbelieve something, that's a materialistic. That's saying that this got the facts straight and this is not true. And when you believe something that there are really not many facts around, but you think that it's true anyway, this is kind of a magical thinking kind of approach. So don't do anything with it. Don't do anything with it. That's difficult, but that will far as going deeply into your consciousness, that will take you deeper. It just takes time. If you're on this path, which is a path of meditation, a path of awareness, a non-theistic path, which doesn't mean that we, at least speaking as a Buddhist monk, I can't speak for all Buddhists, of course, but my understanding of the teachings is don't take a position on it. You don't have to believe or disbelieve in a creator for there to be one or not be one. You're not helping matters a bit. Just observe. Let it be what it is. And also be very careful. And when I say careful, I don't mean tippy-toe. I mean, with your awareness, be careful not to jump to a conclusion or an assumption about anything. You don't need that kind of support. You know what needs that kind of support? Narcissism, self-centeredness. That's what needs that kind of support. But you could actually afford to allow your awareness to fall down, deeply down into something without having any idea where you're going. Please do that. Of course, a simple way to approach this, what we do, and this has been going on for centuries in the Zen tradition, is hold very still. You can use this mudra, which just means hand position. You can use this one. I think this is a little better because it's something you never casually do. And so this is not so bad. This is called cosmic mudra. This is called resting the mind. You could probably do this if you wanted to. People would laugh at you. But it should be something that you can hold that position for a long period of time, because it seems to be necessary to do this for a long period of time. Time is very relative when it comes to meditation, especially if you've done a lot of it. You'll see that when you sit down, the time can just go by. Or it can seem like you've been there 10 minutes and it might feel like 3 hours. Awareness, awareness, awareness. You can be there for 3 hours. It seems like 10 minutes. Awareness, awareness. Always about awareness. It's always about the awareness and not so much what is arising in it. This is where the no separation is. We begin to see it. And when you see it, when you actually see it, you'll have chills up and down your spine. Because you're actually seeing the energy, you're seeing into the cosmic crankcase. That probably doesn't work very well. But you're seeing deeply down inside the way this whole apparently dualistic world works. You're seeing it deeply, deeply, beyond life and death, beyond good and bad, beyond good and evil, beyond, which of course is where? Right here. You don't have to leave this room. In fact, you can't. So, after having practiced lots of different kinds of meditation, including tantric practices of visualization and doing mudras and doing all kinds of mandala visualizations and contemplating chakras. There's 7 of them. I counted them. I'm not promoting that, nor am I negating or criticizing that. I'm just saying that I'm actually speaking out of not something I read, but something I did and still do to some extent. So it's just a way of deepening the consciousness, of getting the awareness to sink down into those lower strata of consciousness, sometimes called the subconscious. I'd rather call it deeper consciousness, because sub means that it's like water and submarine. It's like the sub-basement. Well, there's really no division between that. It's here right now. It's available right here, right now. And some of my students here, that has been demonstrated to them. It's here right now. It's this far away. My teacher, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, once said, there's no reason to go looking somewhere else. Everything is available here. So I just quoted him, I guess. So on the other hand, you may, in your path, you may need to find a way to go deeper. You may need to find a way to take whatever you think you are, your life, your history, your whatever this is. And especially if you're having difficulties, then you may need to go a way that no one else is going. On the other hand, if you don't know where to go, then you don't know what to do, find a teacher. And not just any old teacher. Not your third grade teacher, no. But find someone who can help you, who is on your wavelength, who can tune into you, who seems to have some kind of understanding of who you are, what you're doing, what you're up to, and seems to have a modicum of sanity themselves. I'm not talking about someone who seems very peaceful, has very clear blue eyes, with light shining out of their ears. Although they might, I don't know, they might. I've seen a few people like that in dreams. So how would you go deeper? You would take whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you're at in your life, and look at your life, evaluate it, and find out what it is that you really want to do. Do you want to use meditation as an awareness tool to go deeper and deeper into your mind, see the way that certain things that go thump in the night need to be investigated? They should be looked at. They should be investigated. And if you can do that without belief or disbelief, you'll find out, you'll get a lot closer to what is actually the case than if you immediately start setting up positions of, I like this, I don't like this. As soon as you say, have any position on anything, I'll say it again. After I look at everybody in here. There he is. Michael's playing crossword puzzles. Is that what he's doing, Maureen?
I'm transmitting each word you say as you say it.
Oh, good. Well, I hope I don't have to pay you. What was I going to say?
After you've looked at each one of them.
And then I was going to say something really personal. Yeah, I think I'll go bump in the night. I'm saying you could actually look deeply into whatever is there and see it for yourself, and you would know yourself whether you need to go further in that direction or not. But if you believe or disbelieve, and if you're jockeying around by positions and opinions and ideas and concepts, then I'm not saying you won't go somewhere, but you'll have a whole bunch of philosophy with you, and you have a bunch of psychology, and you have a bunch of ideas and opinions and beliefs. It's not wrong. It's just that it's circular. That's why this world, from the Buddhist point of view, is called samsara, the endless wheel of life and death and life and death. It goes around and around and around. And if you think there's just this, I live and then I die, then that's exactly what's going to happen for a while. You'll just die, and your consciousness will sit there for 400 years until you start saying that maybe I should be doing something else. I'm not laughing because that's funny. And of course, this is not something to be believed or disbelieved. It's like when sometimes people will say, so you're a Buddhist, you believe in reincarnation? And I say, I neither believe it or disbelieve it. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening after we die. I have somewhat of an idea, but it's not a belief. And it's always open to doing something else. I never lock down on anything. I don't even lock down on this. That's why it took me forever to get here. So the different ways that you can go deeper in consciousness, the ones that I know about are tantric practices of visualization. So what you're doing here is, rather than what Lao Tzu is just saying, you're already there. All you have to do is see it. He's basically saying, as Dogen said in the 13th century, This is Buddha. As soon as you sit down and take this position, this is the Buddha. Immediately. Realization isn't something you get. It's something you are. You are that. You're not separate from it. And it feels like magic, and it feels completely ordinary at the same time. And it's completely positionless. That's why it has the ability to take any position. It can put any mask on. That's why someone who is truly a teacher, who has transcended this world and functions as a sage, you cannot find them. Unless they want you to. So all of the different practices that we do, that we might want to do to go deeper, yoga is one of them. All the different tantric practices of visualization, 100,000 prostrations, 100,000 repetitions of the Vajrasattva mantra, 100,000 offerings to the mandala, 1,000,000 repetitions of the Guru Yoga mantra. That's actually 1,000,000 that you actually count on one of these. You count to 1,000,000. This is called training the mind to what? To just see. That's how hard it is. To just see. If you need to do that, you'll probably wander over in that direction, bump into a lama, and he or she will start teaching you that. You may have to do that. I don't know. And then there are other ways. There's, if you go, there are other ways of working with consciousness. There's ayahuasca. There's all kinds of hallucinogens. There's, and I've not done ayahuasca, but there are people in this room who have. And so it's just another amazing experience about consciousness and how completely jazzed up it is. You take some kind of a chemical and put it in this whole structure, and especially the kind of chemicals they call hallucinogens, it just opens a bunch of doors. So, okay, well, now what? Well, you have the doors, so you want them open, now they're open, now what? Yeah, but I don't know. People that do ayahuasca, lysergic acid diethylamide 25, they don't know what has happened to them. They just know it's amazing. It's really astonishing. Tell your friends. You should do that. Why? I don't know. It's really cool. But yeah, but I had a friend who did that and it scared him. Well, it scared me too. So there's lots of ways of deepening consciousness. Other ways are.
How is taking hallucinogens or ayahuasca deepen consciousness?
It takes it. The consciousness is vast, and it opens up areas that you may not be able to access in another way without spending a whole lot of time doing other kinds of practices. So it just opens it up. It deepens it. I should say this before I start. I'm not advising you to do any of these things. I'm not advising you to do ayahuasca. I've even had students of mine ask about it and told them not to. If they'll listen to me, they don't always listen. So I'm not advising you to do anything. I'm not even advising you to do sitting meditation. If you say, should I meditate? I don't know. How's life going for you? Well, life really sucks. So are you asking me for help? Well, I guess I am. I says, well, meditate. Well, will that work? I don't know. Go try it out. When I meditate, it's been helpful to me over 40 plus years, but I don't know how it'll be with you. I know it's very, very hard to do. It's one of the most difficult paths you can take because it has no entertainment. The only entertainment you get is the sutras, and they're very boring, as you notice. Sit, hold still, and see the mind yourself. It's an advanced path, highly advanced. That's why people that, if they do a shikantaza or just precisely this, want something else. They want to count their breaths. They want to visualize things. They want to do anything but just look at the mind. So no, I'm not advising or suggesting anything. I'm just saying there are ways to deepen the consciousness, and those drugs will deepen your consciousness, yes.
Does positionlessness include all of the comments and positions that pop up spontaneously?
Sure. Now, you don't have to buy or don't buy or reject. Don't buy, don't sell, don't look away. Won't do anything. What you need, you won't be able to resist. And this doesn't mean addiction. That's something that really needs to be looked at. Most people are trying to cover that up with more drugs or more activities. Circular. You go ahead.
So how do we continue to go deeper when strong positions come up?
Well, I'm very biased in this area. Hold still and look at it. Do a lot of it, which you have done. Hold very still. Look at the tendency to want to find a position and don't fuel it. See where it gets its fuel. You have to see where it gets its fuel from: passion, aggression, and ignorance. And and those come in by virtue of hope and fear, wanting things to be better, not liking what's there. Well, if you don't like what's there, the emotion is fine. But if you do anything with it, you've just stopped investigating, and you're off being free of that problem. Ooh, I'm glad that's over with. But then 3 weeks from Thursday, it's back again. And you're dealing with it again, and then you're trying to look for another way. It's like you're in a huge shopping mall. Don't do it. Find a way that works. Look around, find a way that works, and stick with it. And when I say a way that works, there's so many ways. It's very difficult. We have such amnesia when we're born about what happened just before we were born. It's incredible amnesia. Sorry. Yes.
And you're talking about looking into the pond and
Yeah.
we go to the bottom of the pond and stir it up.
Yeah, don't do that.
Well, but actually what you said was that, at least I'm doing something.
Yes.
And it looks like to me that there's never a time when I'm not doing something.
That's awareness.
Is there ever going to be a point where I am not doing something?
Not if you keep asking that question. You follow me? It's a perfect time to give you that response. Take what you just asked me and just back up about 3 inches behind that and see what arose just before you asked that question. That's what needs to be looked at. So I'm not saying stop asking questions. Don't misunderstand, because then you're going into another direction. Don't take any position on anything, including anything I say. Don't believe a thing I say. I've been saying this for decades. Don't believe a thing I say. Listen. Don't believe it. It's not a belief system. Things are neither true nor are they false. This is what's called ultimacy, or the ultimate view of things. More.
I was reading about how during sleep things quiet down, and so you can see more clearly.
Yes.
I guess that you can see your
Yeah.
dreams and remember them. And for me, there's always a theme, and it's the same theme. And I ask myself when I review it, what does that have to do with this? What does that theme have to do with this practice?
Is a theme something you can say in public?
Yeah, it's inadequacy. They're always
Yeah.
about inadequacy.
Yeah.
And so that's clear. I see that in the daylight as well.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with this? And in my mind, I think, that's self-centeredness. Is that right?
Don't do anything with it. As soon as you say that's self-centeredness, I mean, those are descriptive, and sometimes we need those concepts, But for you personally, in your awareness practice, don't necessarily go towards judgment unless you can't help it. And if you do go towards judgment, then don't judge the judgment. In other words, don't keep putting layer after layer of negativity on top of the primary negativity. The primary negativity is inadequacy, which you've gone this far away from just by naming it inadequacy. Is what I'm saying to Sheldon. Go just behind what the energy that presented that question, and rest there. Rest in that feeling of inadequacy before it is called inadequacy. See what that is. Talk to me in a private interview. I can help you with that. Okay, it's not something I can do publicly. Yes.
How is doubt a good companion on the path?
I think doubt can be, rather than look at something where you need to get rid of doubt, you could see it as something that actually helps you not go this way or go that way. Helps you keep, stay, as is said in the teachings, middle of the road, middle way. So you start to go this way, you have some doubt. You start to go this way, you have some doubt about it. So just be here and hold your doubt right in front of you, and step and see what is there, and see that there's the path. There, the path will open as it's necessary. So do nothing with the doubt. The doubt will not serve you if you try to get rid of it, or if you try to justify it. Well, the reason I have doubts is because the situation is not working well, and that's why I have all kinds of doubts about it. So those are opinions. They are, when I say they're baseless, of course they're not baseless, but the bases are changing. And the bases under the bases are changing. It's called impermanence. The basic teaching of the Buddha's Dharma is impermanence, suffering, and no self. Nothing lasts. You cannot find a single thing that holds on for any length of time. It might hold on for 400 years. But then it's quakings. Go ahead.
A question from Maggie.
Maggie.
She
Yes,
asks, what are the Zen practices that deepen consciousness?
There's several in the Soto tradition. There's all of the different forms that help, because anytime you're following a form over and over and over, the main form to remember is repetition. So if you're going to sit, repeat, 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 you'll find what the awareness does. You see that you can't repeat anything. Unless you're 8 years old. And then everything looks like it's being repeated. You're just bored out of your wits and you want a new video game. Ruby's not here, so I can talk about her. Yes, sir.
In the 4 reminders, there's a section that reads, "Death comes without warning. This body will be a corpse.
Yes.
At that time, the Dharma will be my only help."
Yes.
How will the practice of the Dharma help someone when the physical body dies?
Because my understanding is, haven't died this time yet, but because the emphasis on awareness itself, instead of just I am the body, I am a body, that emphasis on the awareness, one's allegiance, probably allegiance is the best word, one's feeling or allegiance or something starts to change over from a belief that you're just a body mind into an understanding of the nature of consciousness, and seeing that you're not really separate from that. It's not a belief. It's just an understanding. It's a tacit understanding that needs no credentials. And so therefore, when the body, and this is something you already understand, when the body, but thank you for asking for others. When the body drops, consciousness doesn't go anywhere. This is going to be a big shock to people when they die. So that in that way, it's a help. Michael, number 2, or number 1, maybe.
What is the Buddhist understanding of the notion of perfection Is there any perfection in
Yes.
the world we live in?
Yes, the world is already perfect. The true nature of reality is already extremely perfect and needs no touch-up. Already perfect. But our understanding is back away from that. But even our understanding that's back away from that is included in that perfection. Powerful stuff.
So it's a perfection, in a sense, far beyond our understanding, perhaps.
Nope.
Or maybe not far beyond, but it's work to get there, or maybe it's not work.
Yep. You know, it's you know, Michael, sometimes it's very hard. It's a lot of hard work, and then other times things seem to flow along, and then it's hard, and then it goes. It doesn't seem to be. There isn't any way you can package it, and sell it to people. You can't sell it because it always falls short. You can't if you make any promises about any of this, any spiritual path. Promises are what's the Sanskrit word? Baloney. Michael, do you have a question?
You talked about impermanence.
Yes.
So does that mean that suffering is impermanent?
Everything's impermanent. Suffering would be one of the things that's impermanent. Go ahead and answer the next question. I can see it sitting there.
But we are not separate from suffering?
We're not separate from it. We're not separate from impermanence, which is also permanent. Permanently impermanent. You know, these are concepts and words, and that's what we need to use them. I need to use them, and we, you know, in question and answer, we use them, but it's relative truth or concepts. So it's not ultimate. So even when we say, like Michael's question about perfection, there's a teaching in the book we're studying. What days do we study the Great Perfection?
Mondays and Thursdays.
Huh?
Monday and Thursday noon.
Is it Natural Perfection? Yeah, a book by Longchenpa, the 14th century Nyingma, a Dzogchen master, who wrote Natural Perfection. We're studying that particular book, and it talks about his way of teaching is to continually point out over and over and over the ultimacy of our situation. The things are already completely clear and perfect, but we keep, you know, opting for some other combination of causes and conditions of success and failure and praise and blame and things that we get all mired in samsara, or this world of cause and effect. So it's the idea is to be able to live in this world and not and actually not be fixated on it. Powerful to actually be here and not every time someone presents you with anger to come back with anger, or anytime someone comes at you with jealousy you don't come back with jealousy, nor do you come back and try to look better than they are. Like, well, I don't have jealousy. They may not even know where you're at. They may be puzzled by your lack of response to them. Yes.
While practicing the practice, is that talking about perfection?
What?
While practicing the practice of deep wisdom.
Yeah.
Is that talking about perfection? How so?
It just is. Can't elaborate on perfection. Then it will be imperfect. So just to go, I don't have much time. We need the other talk's going to start at noon, and we have to stop 15 minutes before then. So, and that's on.
Loss. What if you lost?
Right.
Memory loss.
Memory loss. Yeah, we'll start with that. So I did want to say that there are other things you could go to a therapist, which we have a couple in the room. You can go to and you will the kind of help you will get from them will be part of it will be their training, and I've not been trained in that, so I can't speak as being a therapist. But part of the help you'll get from that is out of their training and also out of the chemistry or relationship they have with you and their ability to relate to you where you're at. Because if they relate to you where they think you're at, you'll get medicated. More than likely. Of course, working with the structure within which any therapist is, answerable to a whole bunch of people. Possibly. But you could get help. You could get help by just even talk therapy, or there's all kinds of situational therapeutic work. Just sharing with somebody how you're doing is helpful. You get it off your chest, so to speak. So there's that. There's the most of the chemicals that I've seen, and I have not seen them all, tend to dealing with pain or anxiety around that tend to cover up the symptoms. They seem to be like that rather than some kind of investigation of going down in there. Someone that begins to have experiences that are outside of the materialistic approach of scientific materialism in our medical community. They call it mental illness, and they cover it up with what? Chemicals, just deaden it. But the problem is they haven't looked at it. So that being said, I'm not saying you couldn't get help from people who work in those fields. Of course you could. The reason I emphasize this particular approach is because you're doing it yourself with the help of a teaching person. And that teaching person or that teacher or whatever you want to call them, guru, meditation master, if that person meddles with you or works with you in a way where they're working with you based on their preconceptions, which quite often people will do. If they start to get afraid, we start to work out of preconceptions because we don't want to be as lost as our patient. But I can tell you, if you're not willing to be as lost as the person you're helping, you're not going to help anybody. That goes for any kind of a teacher-student relationship. And how am I able to say that? I felt like it. I don't need any backup. But it's an amazing thing. It takes a lot of courage when someone is in extreme pain and suffering to be right with them. If they go this way, you go that way. I'm not saying that you do it in such a way that you do too much in the way of sympathy or too much in the way of objectivity or anything to do with shutting down. You have to be with them. And if you're with them, you'll understand what is necessary to do if you're actually working from a basis of sanity, which, as far as I'm concerned, of course, I'm biased here, so I'm not 900 years old. Don't have that much experience, but the way it looks, unless your own mind is settled, regardless of what happens in your mind, I don't care how crazy your mind is. If you believe your thoughts, you're in trouble. And when I say you're in trouble, I'm not saying you're condemned to, a bunch of suffering yourself. But if you believe your thought patterns, then that clouds your ability. You're stirring up the water, like Lao Tzu said in 531 BC. Don't do it. Let everything settle. This is just a technique. You could call it a religion. It is. It's religiously practiced. So you could call it one. We have a lot of forms that help us have some kind of backbone to this, so we can actually come in and sit down and do something that looks so, from the relative point of view, useless. You're going to sit there and look at the wall all day long, and you turn into a vegetable. So that only happens over at Asparagus House. Further questions?
William Murray asks,
William.
how do we see not separate?
By continually looking at separation. That's how you see it. You continue to sit and look at the way the thoughts that arise seem separate. It seems like you as a person are having thoughts. Sorry, that's not going to work. Do it a lot. Come here, sit here for a month. We'll make a bed for you upstairs. You can go up there and do a 30-day solitary retreat, William. Yes.
So when someone does a hallucinogen, like the woman you can pull up from the 50s who they gave LSD to, and she says at some point that a questioner asks her something about herself, and she says, me, there is no me. That's a glimpse. Those kinds of experiences are glimpses like any of the glimpses that you get.
Yeah.
It's
What's the
not
question?
an awakening.
It's not an awakening.
Something.
Ask me that question.
Is it an awakening? What is
What
it
an
then?
What is what?
What is it?
What is what?
the glimpse?
What is a glimpse? It's just that. It's a glimpse. And it may be a really, really profound glimpse that changes the rest of your life. But glimpses fade. They fade. If it's a glimpse, they fade. If it's reality, it won't do anything. It won't congratulate you. It won't elbow you. Get out of my way. I'm the important thing here. It won't do anything. It'll barely be a memory. Right? Really?
Mhm.
You're agreeing with me?
I am.
No, okay. Michael, number 2.
Do you know any living human Buddhas yourself?
Both of the Buddhas that I met have passed on, but they're still living and they're in this room.
So it is possible for human beings to become Buddhas,
But human beings are already Buddhas.
already Buddhas?
They just cover it all up
Okay.
and they go this way and that way. They run this way and they run that way. And then they talk to each other about how terrible life is. or how they're getting ahead, or how they're getting the 8 worldly dharmas. But they are Buddhas. They've just forgotten. It's an incredible amnesia. And that's why this awakening is about that. I would like that for everyone. But I know that I can't do it for you. You have to do it. If you give me permission, I will help you. If you don't give me permission, I will not chase after you. I have no sales pitch other than, here it is. Do what you need to do with your life. It may be here, it may be somewhere else. It may be working in Kalamazoo at a donut factory. Or Lansing, I have had that one up there too. You can be the one that punches the holes in the center. So, yeah.
So experiences like, I think they're referred to maybe as kensho
Yes,
or glimpses, like you were just
glimpses.
talking about.
Yes,
Are there ways to encourage glimpses?
yes, sit still and see how much you don't glimpse. That's exactly what it is. You sit still and you just sit there. And it's like, you know, do it anyway. Keep looking, keep looking. A willingness to just be there and lessen your demand. Lessen your demand. Just be present. The first noble truth of the Buddha is life is suffering. The reason that there is suffering is the second noble truth, is that it's desire, wanting things to be different than they are. You get to experience what the Buddha saw just by sitting on a cushion and looking. You will see that dissatisfaction is what he saw. And if you object to it and object to it and object to it, we just add on. But when there comes a time when you don't object, you don't agree, and you don't look away, that's called a Bodhi Mandala, or a circle of awakening. And that's when you're ready for the lightning to hit you in the head. Or not. Maybe it won't be lightning. It would just be a feather. So the last thing I'm going to say before we stop is there are lots of different ways of doing, extending the awareness into this, extending our awareness into consciousness, lots of them. There are ways that people are doing this with Reiki. There's healing touch. There's also craniosacral work, which is, if you talk to someone who does that, they're not even sure how it happens. But something about the way consciousness works allows people to work with others and help them, relieve them. I've had experiences in that area, and it's powerful stuff. There's also using regressing someone's consciousness back in time and actually looking at things that may be buried back there, things that may be hidden. Sometimes in modern psychology called ego states, and all kinds of other contraptions that are going on in that area. So here again, I'm not promoting it. I'm not criticizing it. But I'm certainly not going to ignore it. So don't believe, don't disbelieve. Good position to be in. Anything else? Okay. I guess we're going to stop and then in 15 minutes we'll do daily Armageddon. Yes. We'll dedicate the merit first.
Awareness penetrate into all places so that we and every sentient being together can realize the Buddha's way. Jio Sam Shi Shi Hu Shi Son Bu Sa Mo Ko Sa Mo Ko the 10 directions, the 3 worlds, all Buddhas, all venerable ones, Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, the great Prajnaparamita,